Welcome to Bible Quizzes. There are 80 questions in this quiz. Are you ready? Let's begin. 1. Which city is the mother of harlots according to Revelation? Jerusalem, Nineveh, Babylon, Goshen. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Babylon, Revelation 17:5. And on her forehead a name was written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and of the abominations of the earth. 2. Who cursed Canaan? God, Abraham, Ham, Noah. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Noah, Genesis 9:25. So Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done to him. Then he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants he shall be to his brethren. 3. Who was Hadassah? Ruth, Esther, Abigail, Rahab. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Esther, Esther 2:7. And Mordecai had brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother. 4. What were the conditions leading to Jabez's birth? Pain, love, hatred, war. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is pain. 1 Chronicles 4:9. Now Jabez was more honorable than his brothers, and his mother called his name Jabez, saying, Because I bore him in pain. 5. During what time of the day did quails come on the land? Evening, morning, night, noon. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is evening, Exodus 16:13. So it was that quails came up at evening and covered the camp, and in the morning the dew lay all around the camp. 6. Which direction did the locusts in the plague of Egypt come from? East, north, west, south. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is east, Exodus 10:13. So Moses stretched out his rod over the land of Egypt, and the Lord brought an east wind on the land all that day and all that night. When it was morning, the east wind brought the locusts. 7. What plague of Egypt came from spread ashes? Frog, boils, lice, darkness. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is boils, Exodus 9:10. Then they took ashes from the furnace and stood before Pharaoh, and Moses scattered them toward heaven, and they caused boils that broke out in sores on men and beasts. 8. Who was Moses' mother? Miriam, Leah, Hannah, Jochebed. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Jochebed, Exodus 6:20. Now Amram took for himself Jochebed, his father's sister, as wife, and she bore him Aaron and Moses. 9. Whom did God say was the meekest man? Naboth, Elijah, Moses, Obadiah. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Moses, Numbers 12:3. Now the man Moses was very humble, more than all men who were on the face of the earth. 10. What category of people inherits the earth according to the Beatitudes? The poor, the meek, the hungry, the righteous. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is the meek. Matthew 5:5. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. 11. Who is said to be short among these? David, Zacchaeus, Samuel, Shem. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Zacchaeus, Luke 19:3. And he sought to see who Jesus was, but could not because of the crowd, for he was of short stature. 12. How heavy was Goliath's spear? 700 shekels, 500 shekels, 300 shekels, 600 shekels. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is 600 shekels, 1 Samuel 17:7. Now the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his iron spearhead weighed 600 shekels, and a shield bearer went before him. 13. Whom did the Babylonians remove his eyes? Samson, Zedekiah, Belshazzar, Jehoiakim. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Zedekiah, 2 Kings 25:7. Then they killed the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, put out the eyes of Zedekiah, bound him with bronze fetters, and took him to Babylon. 14. Where was Aaron's budded rod placed? On Mount Sinai, in the tabernacle, in the Ark of the Covenant, before the testimony. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is in the Ark of the Covenant, Numbers 17:10. And the Lord said to Moses, Bring Aaron's rod back before the testimony, to be kept as a sign against the rebels, that you may put their complaints away from me, lest they die. 15. Which king was involved in the rebuilding of the temple? Cyrus, Herod, Pharaoh, Nebuchadnezzar. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Cyrus, Ezra 6:14. So the elders of the Jews built, and they prospered through the prophesying of Haggai and Zechariah, and they built and finished it according to the commandment of the God of Israel, and according to the command of Cyrus. 16. Who was a scribe during Nehemiah's time? Baruch, Ezra, Jeremiah, Shaphan. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Ezra, Nehemiah 8:1. Now all the people gathered together as one man in the open square that was in front of the water gate, and they told Ezra the scribe to bring the book of the law of Moses, which the Lord had commanded Israel. 17. How many sons did Ahab the wicked king have in Samaria? 70, 40, 12, 20. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is 70, 2 Kings 10:1. Now Ahab had 70 sons in Samaria, and Jehu wrote and sent letters to Samaria, to the rulers of Jezreel, to the elders, and to those who reared Ahab's sons, saying, 18. What size of the cloud did Elijah's servant say was formed? You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is as small as a man's hand. 1 Kings 18:44. Then it came to pass the seventh time that he said, There is a cloud as small as a man's house rising out of the sea. So he said, Go up, say to Ahab, Prepare your chariot and go down before the rain stops you. 19. Who was David's advisor that betrayed him? Ahithophel, Nathan, Abiathar, Hushai. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Ahithophel, 2 Samuel 15:31. Then someone told David, saying, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. And David said, O Lord, I pray, turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness. 20. Before which king did David pretend to be mad? Saul, Achish, Abimelech, Pharaoh. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Achish, 1 Samuel 21:13. Now David took these words to heart and was very much afraid of Achish, the king of Gath, so he changed his behavior before them, pretended madness in their hands, scratched on the doors of the gate, and let his saliva fall. 21. Where was Samuel buried? Shiloh, Jerusalem, Bethel, Ramah. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Ramah, 1 Samuel 25:1. Then Samuel died, and the Israelites gathered together and lamented for him and buried him at his home in Ramah. 22. Who took hold of the horns of the altar to avoid being killed by Solomon? Adonijah, Absalom, Abner, Jehu. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Adonijah, 1 Kings 1:50. Now Adonijah was afraid of Solomon, so he arose and went and took hold of the horns of the altar. 23. Upon which mountain was a temple built by Solomon? Hebron, Hermon, Moriah, Sinai. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Moriah, 2 Chronicles 3:1. Now Solomon began to build the house of the Lord at Jerusalem on Mount Moriah, where the Lord had appeared to his father David, at the place that David had prepared on the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. 24. Who gave Solomon the designs of the temple? God, Ahithophel, David, Nathan. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is David, 1 Chronicles 28:11-12. Then David gave his son Solomon the plans for the vestibule, its houses, its treasuries, its upper chambers, its inner chambers, and the plans for all that he had by the Spirit of the courts of the house of the Lord. 25. What was Paul's name before his conversion? Simon, Saul, John, Shammah. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Saul, Acts 13:9. Then Saul, who also is called Paul, filled with the Holy Spirit, looked intently at him. 26. What did Paul see coming from heaven during his encounter on the road to Damascus? Fire, an angel, a star, a light. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is a light, Acts 9:3. As he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly a light shone around him from heaven. 27. What was the likeness of the things that fell from Paul's eyes when his sight was restored? Sand, stones, scales, water. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is scales, Acts 9:18. Immediately there fell from his eyes something like scales, and he received his sight at once, and he arose and was baptized. 28. Who did Jesus commanded to go wash in the pool of Siloam? A leper, a paralytic, a blind man, the centurion. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is a blind man, John 9:7. And he said to him, Go, wash in the pool of Siloam, which is translated sent. So he went and washed and came back seeing. 29. To which woman did Elijah go during the drought? You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is the widow of Zarephath, 1 Kings 17:9. Arise, go to Zarephath which belongs to Sidon, and dwell there. See, I have commanded a widow there to provide for you. 30. In which place were the disciples called Christians? Antioch, Rome, Jerusalem, Ephesus. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Antioch, Acts 11:26. And when he had found him, he brought him to Antioch. So it was that for a whole year they assembled with the church and taught a great many people. And the disciples were first called Christians in Antioch. 31. Which category of people did Tabitha or Dorcas help? Poor, sick, widows, orphans. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is widows, Acts 9:39. Then Peter arose and went with them. When he had come, they brought him to the upper room, and all the widows stood by him weeping, showing the tunics and garments which Dorcas had made while she was with them. 32. How many times did Paul pray for the thorn in his flesh to be removed? 3, 5, 7, 2. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is 3, 2 Corinthians 12:8. Concerning this thing, I pleaded with the Lord 3 times that it might depart from me. 33. Which people deceived Joshua that they were distant travelers? Hittites, Gibeonites, Amorites, Moabites. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Gibeonites, Joshua 9:4. But when the inhabitants of Gibeon heard what Joshua had done to Jericho and Ai, they worked craftily and went and pretended to be ambassadors, and they took old sacks on their donkeys, old wineskins torn and mended. 34. Who said, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord"? Moses, David, Paul, Joshua. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Joshua, Joshua 24:15. And if it seems evil to you to serve the Lord, choose for yourselves this day whom you still serve, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. 35. Who ruled the Israelites after Joshua? Kings, priests, judges, prophets. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Judges, Judges 2:8 and 16. Now Joshua the son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died when he was 110 years old. Nevertheless, the Lord raised up judges who delivered them out of the hand of those who plundered them. 36. In which place did Jesus mock that the Pharisees used to pray publicly? Street corners, the hills, rooftops, all of the above. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is street corners, Matthew 6:5. And when you pray, you shall not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the corners of the streets, that they may be seen by men. Assuredly I say to you, they have their reward. 37. Whom did Andrew tell Nathanael prophesied about the Messiah? Isaiah, Moses, Daniel, David. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Moses, John 1:45. Philip found Nathanael and said to him, "We have found him of whom Moses in the law and also the prophets wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." 38. What did Jacob set up in the place he saw the ladder from earth to heaven? An altar, a tabernacle, a tent, a pillar. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is a pillar. Genesis 28:18. Then Jacob rose early in the morning and took the stone that he had put at his head, set it up as a pillar, and poured oil on top of it. 39. For how long did Jacob wrestle with the angel? All day, 3 days, all night, 7 days. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is all night. Genesis 32:24. Then Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of day. 40. Which brook did Jacob cross after fighting with the angel? Jabbok, Jordan, Kidron, Euphrates. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Jabbok. Genesis 32:22. And he arose that night and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons, and crossed over the ford of Jabbok. 41. Who brought Elijah bread baked on coals in the wilderness? An angel, a raven, a widow, a young boy. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is an angel. 1 Kings 19:6. Then as he lay and slept under a broom tree, suddenly an angel touched him and said to him, Arise and eat. Then he looked, and there by his head was a cake baked on coals and a jar of water. So he ate and drank. 42. How many prophets of God did Obadiah hide in caves? 100, 200, 50, 70. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is 100. 1 Kings 18:4. For so it was, while Jezebel massacred the prophets of the Lord, that Obadiah had taken 100 prophets and hidden them, 50 to a cave, and had fed them with bread and water. 43. Who died by falling backward on a chair and breaking his neck? Saul, Eli, Abner, Samuel. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Eli, 1 Samuel 4:18. Then it happened when he made mention of the ark of God that Eli fell off the seat backward by the side of the gate, and his neck was broken, and he died. For the man was old and heavy, and he had judged Israel 40 years. 44. Fill in the blank. Blank have holes, but the Son of Man has no place to rest his head. Serpents, foxes, rats, dogs. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is foxes. Matthew 8:20. And Jesus said to him, Foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. 45. Fill in the blank. Surely blank and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is goodness. Psalm 23:6. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. 46. Who asked God why the wicked prosper? Job, David, Jeremiah, Habakkuk. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Jeremiah. Jeremiah 12:1. Righteous are you, O Lord, when I plead with you, yet let me talk with you about your judgments. Why does the way of the wicked prosper? Why are those happy who deal so treacherously? 47. Which disciple did Jesus name Cephas? Peter, James, Andrew, John. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Peter. John 1:42. And he brought him to Jesus. Now when Jesus looked at him, he said, You are Simon, the son of Jonah. You shall be called Cephas, which is translated a stone. 48. How often did Jesus say we should forgive? 77 times. 77 times 7. 70 times. 70 times 7. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is 70 times 7. Matthew 18:22. Jesus said to him, I do not say to you up to 7 times, but up to 70 times 7. 49. To which mountain does Psalms say the righteous are like, unshakable? Sinai, Zion, Hermon, Ararat. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Zion, Psalm 125:1. Those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be moved but abides forever. 50. What does Proverbs compare the boldness of the righteous to? An eagle, a serpent, a bear, a lion. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is a lion. Proverbs 28:1. The wicked flee when no one pursues, but the righteous are bold as a lion. 51. Which psalm does David say, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want? Psalm 1, Psalm 27, Psalm 23, Psalm 133. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Psalm 23, Psalm 23:1. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. 52. What was David's occupation before he was anointed king by Samuel? Fisherman, farmer, carpenter, shepherd. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is shepherd, 1 Samuel 16:11. And Samuel said to Jesse, Are all the young men here? Then he said, There remains yet the youngest, and there he is, keeping the sheep. And Samuel said to Jesse, Send and bring him, for we will not sit down till he comes. 53. Which judge was told by God to reduce his army by giving them a water drinking test? Jephthah, Gideon, Ehud, Samson. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Gideon, Judges 7:5. So he brought the people down to the water, and the Lord said to Gideon, Everyone who laps from the water with his tongue, as a dog laps, you shall set apart by himself. Likewise, everyone who gets down on his knees to drink. 54. Who was Keturah? You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Abraham's wife, Genesis 25:1. Abraham again took a wife, and her name was Keturah. 55. How many sons did Elimelech have? 3, 1, 2, 4. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is 2. Ruth 1:2. The name of the man was Elimelech, the name of his wife was Naomi, and the names of his 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion, Ephrathites of Bethlehem, Judah, and they went to the country of Moab and remained there. 56. Who was the husband of Deborah? Lapidoth, Barak, Ahaziah, Manoah. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Lapidoth, Judges 4:4. Now Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, was judging Israel at that time. 57. Who is the man that led Israel to war during the time of Deborah? Gideon, Barak, Samson, Othniel. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Barak. Judges 4:6. Then she sent and called for Barak, the son of Abinoam, from Kadesh in Naphtali, and said to him, Has not the Lord God of Israel commanded? Go and deploy troops at Mount Tabor, take with you 10,000 men. 58. How many locks of hair did Samson have on his head? 3, 6, 7, 5. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is 7. Judges 16:13. Delilah said to Samson, "Until now you have mocked me and told me lies. Tell me what you may be bound with." And he said to her, "If you weave the 7 locks of my head into the web of the loom." 59. Who is recorded to be the most handsome king in Israel? Solomon, Saul, Ahab, David. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Saul, 1 Samuel 9:2. And he had a choice and handsome son, whose name was Saul. There was not a more handsome person than he among the children of Israel. From his shoulders upward, he was taller than any of the people. 60. Who among the Israelite kings had leprosy? Uzziah, Ahab, Asa, Naaman. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Uzziah, 2 Chronicles 26:19. Then Uzziah became furious, and he had a censer in his hand to burn incense. And while he was angry with the priest, leprosy broke out on his forehead before the priest in the house of the Lord beside the incense altar. 61. During whose rule did Isaiah begin his prophetic ministry? Asa, Zedekiah, Uzziah, Manasseh. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Uzziah, Isaiah 1:1, the vision of Isaiah the son of Amos, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah. 62. What did Job apply on himself when he was grieving his losses? Dust, oil, ash, water. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is ash, Job 2:8, and he took for himself a potsherd with which to scrape himself while he sat in the midst of the ashes. 63. Where is this written? By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, there we wept. Isaiah, Lamentations, Jeremiah, Psalm. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Psalm, Psalm 137:1. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, yeah, we wept when we remembered Zion. 64. Whose bones resurrected a man? Moses's, Joseph's, Elisha's, Abraham's. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Elisha's, 2 Kings 13:21. So it was as they were burying a man that suddenly they spied a band of raiders, and they put the man in the tomb of Elisha. And when the man was let down and touched the bones of Elisha, he revived and stood on his feet. 65. What does Proverbs say? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, riches, knowledge, understanding. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is wisdom, Proverbs 9:10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. 66. What does Solemn mean? Purity, peace, truth, mercy. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is peace, Hebrews 7:2. To whom also Abraham gave a tenth part of all, first being translated King of Righteousness, and then also King of Salem, meaning King of Peace. 67. Who helped Gabriel fight the Prince of Persia? Uriel, Raphael, Ezekiel, Michael. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Michael, Daniel 10:13. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days, and behold, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I had been left alone there with the kings of Persia. 68. Which book comes after Acts? Hebrews, Ephesians, Romans, John. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Romans. The book of Romans comes after the book of Acts. 69. To whom did Paul appeal during his trial before Felix? Agrippa, Caesar, Herod, Pilate. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Caesar, Acts 25:11. For if I am an offender or have committed anything deserving of death, I do not object to dying. But if there is nothing in these things of which these men accuse me, no one can deliver me to them. I appeal to Caesar. 70. Who ordered Jesus to be whipped during his trials? Pilate, Annas, Herod, Caiaphas. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Pilate, John 19:1. So then Pilate took Jesus and scourged him. 71. Which apostle condemned Ananias and Sapphira for their deception? Peter, Paul, Apollos, Stephen. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Peter, Acts 5:3. But Peter said, Ananias, why has Satan filled your heart to lie to the Holy Spirit and keep back part of the price of the land for yourself? 72. Which people did Paul ask if they were bewitched? Ephesians, Corinthians, Philippians, Galatians. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Galatians, Galatians 3:1. O foolish Galatians, who has bewitched you that you should not obey the truth? 73. What color was used to bake the curtain of the tabernacle? Blue, scarlet, purple, all of the above. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is all of the above. Exodus 26:31. You shall make a veil woven of blue, purple, and scarlet thread and fine woven linen. 74. The 10 Commandments were written on how many tablets? 1, 6, 2, 12. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is 2, Exodus 34:1. And the Lord said to Moses, Cut 2 tablets of stone like the first ones, and I will write on these tablets the words that were on the first tablets which you broke. 75. Who among the prophets did God know face to face? Isaiah, Jeremiah, Moses, Elijah. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Moses, Deuteronomy 34:10. But since then there has not arisen in Israel a prophet like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. 76. Who asked Jesus about paying taxes being lawful? Pharisees and Herodians, lawyers, Sadducees, Romans. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Pharisees and Herodians, Matthew 22:15-17. Then the Pharisees went and plotted how they might entangle him in his talk, and they sent to him their disciples with the Herodians, saying, Teacher, tell us, what do you think? Is it lawful to pay taxes to Caesar or not? 77. What was the beggar at the beautiful gate expecting to receive from Peter and John? Healing, alms, prayers, compassion. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is alms, Acts 3:5, who, seeing Peter and John about to go into the temple, asked for alms, so he gave them his attention, expecting to receive something from them. 78. Who did Jesus ask to get money from the fish's mouth for tax? Peter, Andrew, Judas, Thomas. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Peter, Matthew 17:27. Jesus said to him, Peter, lest we offend them, go to the sea, cast in a hook, and take the fish that comes up first. And when you have opened its mouth, you will find a piece of money. Take that and give it to them for me and you. 79. Who among these didn't pass by the wounded man in the parable of the Good Samaritan? A Levite, a Samaritan, a priest, none of the above. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is a Samaritan, Luke 10:31-33. A priest came down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. Likewise a Levite, when he arrived at that place, passed by on the other side. But a certain Samaritan came, and when he saw him, he had compassion. 80. Which son did Eve say God gave her in place of Abel? Cain, Shem, Seth, Canaan. You have 10 seconds to answer. The answer is Seth, Genesis 4:25. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bore a son and named him Seth, for God has appointed another seed for me instead of Abel whom Cain killed. And there you have it. How well did you do? Tally your score and post in the comments. And don't forget to share this quiz with your family and friends. See you in the next one. God bless.